Hello everyone. In previous class or in previous video we have discussed about our first chapter, that is corporate restructuring. In that we have discussed about the meaning, definition, significance and the objectives of CR. In this video we will be discussing about motives behind corporate restructuring and the choices of corporate restructuring. Motives or reasons behind corporate restructuring. If we look at the motives behind CR, we will find four separate set of reasons for different choice of corporate restructuring, namely expansion, contraction, corporate control and changing ownership structure. Let us discuss this one by one. First we will take expansion. Any single reason for expansion can be found irrelevant as it differs with situation and company strategies. Important reason for expansion can be, first one is growth. Every company wants to grow and corporate restructuring provides ways for the companies to throw off cash flows beyond its internal needs. Present day of globalization demands an absolute level of size simply to be able to carry out the operations of the company. Second we have is technology. Technology plays an important role as a driver in expansion strategy. Generally, a firm with improved and superior technology wants to engineer its technological superiority by acquiring firms of inferior technology. The reverse is also true, as the firm with inferior technology may prefer to acquire technologically superior firms to sharpen its competitive edge. Third one is product advantage and product differentiation. This reason gets more relevance in expansion internationally when a firm finds acceptance for its product abroad. The fourth one is government policy. Different regulations, tax burdens and other restrictions imposed by the government also induce companies to increase size. To enjoy specific advantage in different zones and in different economies, companies' first choice goes for acquiring a firm with existing facilities in that. Next one we have is exchange rates. This reason is specially identified with expansion leading to international mergers. Comparative strength or weaknesses of the domestic versus foreign currency makes a difference in price paid for acquisition, production cost and the value repatriated profit to the parent. Next one we have is political or economic stability. Political stability, that is frequency with which government changes, the order of transferring power and the change in the policy and outlook due to change in the administration becomes a decisive factor in expansion. Economic stability demands a low and predictable inflation rate, controlled industrial relations, etc. Next we have differential labor or cost productivity. Difference in labor cost in different geographic region with its associated productivity certainly creates an impact in monitoring companies to expand. The last one in expansion is diversification. One of the important drivers for expansion is the diversification, both geographically and by product line. It may come in the form of vertical integration, both forward and backward, which also helps in reducing risk. Okay, these are the 8 points in expansion. Next we will discuss about the contraction. The company's trimming size through demerger anticipates the benefit of restructuring by outperforming the market indexes. Different mechanism shading the business off through demerger takes place with a number of motives. Like the first one is improving performance. The accountability created by restructuring through demerger often improves performance. And investors also benefit from the greater visibility of the demerger entities to analysts and the public. The next one is booming independence. Demerger is intended to promote independence as the separated company can operate freely at its own discretion. Often the function of this kind of restructuring is to move assets to owners who can utilize them more effectively. This helps the economic system move assets to their highest valued uses. The third one is efforts to unlearn. Some demerger effort is undoubtedly an attempt to correct previous invest decisions materialized through merger and acquisition. The firm inability to effectively exploit the possible opportunities through consolidation motivate them to salvage a portion of their investments by separating where the opportunities could exploited more effectively. The fourth one is strategic adjustment. Sometimes divestitures involve selling to a value increasing buyer, which is a plan at the time of prior mergers and acquisition activity. Such type of divestitures is pre-planned because they may represent a poor fit to the acquiring firm. Next is increasing value. Demerger represents harvesting value by unloading the hidden value. By making financial and managerial resources available and concentrating on the core competency, the firm is able to enhance shareholders' value as well as the value of the firm. So all these are the contraction points. Next we have corporate control. Motives behind corporate control. An important motive for corporate control is to ensure that a program for the successful performance of the firm can be carried through without interruption. But these remain several other motives to gain corporate control, such as improving leverage ratio. To reinforce effective control, capital structure of the firm is changed. Adopting buyback mechanism, debt equity ratio or leverage ratio is attempted to improve. This is because even if the amount of debt is not changed, the amount of common stock is reduced. So the leverage ratio is increased. The second one here we have is utilization of surplus cash. In order to increase shareholders' return, finally the wealth of the shareholders, the firm may undertake the strategy of distributing surplus cash. Thereby, the firm is able to enhance the earnings per share. Thus, the company can maintain shareholders' value in situation of poor state of secondary market by a return of surplus cash to shareholders. The third one we have is enhancement of voting power. Another important motive of corporate control is to enhance the voting or controlling power of the promoters without spending own money. The fourth one is preventing undervaluation. If the management believes that the common stock of the company is undervalued by the market, they can enhance control on the valuation of shares by buyback of the shares with a view as the announced value of those shares, as the announced buyback price is invariably higher than the prevailing market price. Next one we have is anti-takeover defense. If the insider judge the firm to be undervalued, they may have concern that the firm is subject to takeover. bid at a relatively small premium. The large premium involved in the repurchase tender of offer may convey information to the non-insider that the value of the share is at least as high as conveyed by the premium and maybe perhaps earn higher in the future. Next we have is ownership structure. Various motives act as a drivers in restructuring activities that results in change in ownership structure. Some of them are, first one is alteration in the control structure. Here I haven't typed the word control structure, I have only typed structure, but the actual sub point is alteration in the control structure. Please rectify that. Restructuring of this kind is aimed at changing the control structure of the firm by repurchasing substantial percentage of shares, or by initial public offers. The firm want to reshuffle the voting rights of the shareholders to change the control pattern of the firm. Next one is providing fairness to monetary shareholders. A critical element in restructuring activities through going private transactions is fairness to minority or outsider shareholders to avoid accusations of security fraud against controlling shareholders. Next one we have is changing the nature of the firm. If a firm wants to come out from the regulations of security and exchange board of respective country, it may prefer that a small group of investors will buy the entire equity interest. So all these are the motives behind corporate restructuring, or we call it as reasons behind corporate restructuring. Okay. Next topic we have is choices of corporate restructuring. In that we have 4 choices. First one is expansion. Same. Expansion, contraction, corporate control and change in ownership. The first one we have here is expansion. Expansion basically implies expanding or increasing the size and the volume of business of the firm. It generally includes merger and acquisition, tender offer, asset acquisition and joint ventures. Let us discuss this one by one. First we have here is merger and acquisition. A transaction where two firms agree to integrate their operations on a relatively co-equal basis is called as merger. It is defined as the fusion of two or more companies through direct acquisition of the net assets of the others. It results when the shareholders of more than one company, usually two, decide to pool the resources of the companies under a common entity. Accordingly, in a merger, two or more companies combine into a single unit and lose their individual identities. Acquisition is a strategy where one firm buys a controlling or 100% interest in another firm with the intent of making the acquired firm a subsidiary within its portfolio. A takeover is an acquisition where the target firm did not solicit the bid of the acquiring firm. It is a strategy of acquiring control over the management of another company, either directly by acquiring the shares or indirectly by participating in the management. Next we have is tender offers. What are these tender offers? In the case of a tender offer, a public offer is made for acquiring the shares of the target company. Here, acquisition of shares of the target company indicates that the acquisition of management control in that company. The next one we have is asset acquisition. Asset acquisition implies buying the asset of another company. Such assets may be tangible assets like a manufacturing unit of the firm, or intangible assets like brand, trademark, etc. Next we have joint venture. In the case of joint venture, two companies enter into an agreement and accumulate certain resources with a view to achieve a particular common business goal. It generally involves fusion of only a small part of the activities of the companies involved in the agreement, and usually for limited period of time or duration. The returns arising out of such venture are shared by the partners according to their pre-arranged agreement. The next main point here we have is contraction. Contraction is the second form of restructuring. In the case of contraction, generally the size of the firm gets reduced. Contraction may take place in the form of spin-off, split-off, divestitures, split-ups, and equity carved out. Let us discuss this one by one. First one we have is spin-off. A spin-off is a type of transaction in which a company distributes all the shares owned by it on its own shareholders. Such distribution of shares among the shareholders is made on a pro rata basis. As a result, proportional ownership of shares of the shareholders becomes the same in the new legal subsidiary as well as the parent company. The next point we have is split off. In the case of split off, a new company is created in order to take over the operations of an existing division or unit of a company. A portion of the existing shareholders of the company obtains stock in the subsidiary, that is the new company, in exchange for stocks of the parent company. As a result, the equity base of the parent company is reduced, representing the downsizing of the firm. Thus, shareholding of the new entity, that is subsidiary, does not imply the shareholding of the parent company. Next we have is divestitures. A divestiture involves the sale of a portion or a segment of the company to an external party. Such sale may cover asset, product lines, subsidiaries, or divisions of the undertakings. A divestiture generally results in an infusion of cash to the parent company. A company may choose to sell an undervalued operation which according to the company is underrated or non-strategic to its core business activities. The next one we have is equity carved out. An equity carved out implies the sale of segment or portion of the firm through an equity offering to the external parties. Here, new share of equity are sold to outsiders who in turn give them ownership of the previously existing firm. In that case, a new legal entity is created. The equity shareholders in the newly generated entity need not be the same as the equity shareholders in the original sellers. Next we have is split ups. In the case of split up, the entire company is broken up in the series of spin-offs. As a result, the parent company no longer exists and the only new offspring continue to survive. A split up basically involves the creation of a new class of stock for each of the parent operating subsidiaries, paying current shareholders a dividend of each new class of stock, and then dissolving the parent company. Stockholders in the new companies may different as shareholders in the parent company may exchange their stock for stock in one or more of the spin-off. Next we have is corporate control. Corporate restructuring may be done without necessarily acquiring new firms or diverting existing organizations. Corporate control is another type of restructuring which involves obtaining control over the management of the firm. Controlling here basically defined as a process through which top management influence other related members of an entity to implement the predetermined organizational strategy. In that, first we have is anti-takeover defense. It is a technique followed by a company to prevent forcefully acquiring of its management with high level of hostile takeover activity in recent years. Various companies are resorting to the strategy of takeover defense. Such takeover defenses may be pre-bid or preventive defense and the post-bid or active defense. Next we have share repurchase. It involves repurchasing its own shares by a company from the market. Shares may be repurchased by following either the tender offer method or through open market method. Shares repurchase also called as buyback of shares, leading to reduction in the equity capital of the company. Next one we have is exchange offer. Exchange offer generally provides one or more classes of securities the right or the option to exchange a portion of all of their holding for a different class of securities of the firm. The term of exchange offer necessarily involve new securities of great market value than the pre-exchange offer announcement market value. Next we have is proxy contests. The proxy contest is a way to take control of a company without owning a majority of its voting right. So it is an attempt made by the single shareholder or a group of shareholders to undertake control or bring about the other changes in the company by the use of proxy mechanized of corporate voting. So these are the 4 points under the corporate control. We have next here is change in ownership. Okay. The fourth group of restructuring activities in the change is the change in ownership structure, which basically results in change in the structure of ownership in the company. The ownership structure of a company affects and it is affected by other variables, and these variables and the variables also influences the market value. The first under this we have is leveraged buyout. Buyouts constitute yet another form of corporate restructuring. It happens when a group of persons gain control of a company by buying all a majority of its shares. There are two common types of buyouts. The first one is leverage buyout, that is called as LBO. Next we have is management buyout, that is called as MBO. Leverage buyout is the purchase of asset or the equity of a company where the buyer uses a significant amount of debt and very little equity capital of his own for payment of the consideration for acquisition. Since LBO, that is leverage buyouts, cause substantial financial risk, it is desired that LBO acquisitions should have a relatively low degree of business risk. LBO will not be a suitable form of corporate restructuring if the acquired firm already has a higher degree of business risk. The next point we have here is Master Limited Partnership, that is in short called as MLPS. Master Limited Partnership are formed of a general partner and one or more limited partners. The general partner runs the business and bears unlimited liability. The limited partnership provides an investor with a direct interest in a group of assets, usually oil, coal, gas, etc. Master Limited Partnership units are traded publicly like stock, thus provide the investor more liquidity than ordinary limited partnership. Next we have is Going private. It is repurchasing of all of a company's outstanding stock by employees or a private investors. As a result of such an initiative, the company stops being publicly traded. Sometimes the company might have to take an on significant debt to finance the change in ownership structure. Companies might want to go private in order to restructure their business. They might also want to go private to avoid the expenses and regulations associated with remaining listed on a stock exchange. The last one we have is employee stock option plan, which are called as EOSP. The term employee stock option plan means the options given to the whole time directors or employees of a company the right to purchase or subscribe at a future date the securities offered by the company at a predetermined price. The basic objectives of ESOP is to motivate the directors or the employees to perform better and improve firm's value. So all these are the choices of corporate restructuring. I hope you guys have understood this. Thank you.